You know those days. The ones where just nothing goes right. You feel like you're walking through a fog. Everything gets on your nerves, and every choice you make feels like the wrong one. Well, it turns out the real problem might have started hours before you even woke up. Today, we're going to get into the science of why bad days happen and how one rough night of sleep can set off a domino effect. So let's meet our little character here. This is basically all of us on a bad day. They're groggy, a little bit grumpy, and just can't seem to catch a break. We've all been this person. But the real question is why? What's actually going on here? I mean, we all know the feeling, right? You toss and turn, and the next day is just a total write-off. It feels like you're playing a game you can't win, making one bad move after another. Well, what's so fascinating is that it's not just a feeling, it's a real, measurable breakdown happening inside your brain. Okay, so let's follow our character and see how a day that kicks off with bad sleep quickly turns into a cascade of bad decisions. Think of it like this. A well-rested brain is calm, cool, and collected. It uses logic, it thinks things through. But a sleep-deprived brain, it goes into survival mode. It's trying to save energy, so it powers down all that careful, deliberate thinking and starts taking these risky shortcuts just to keep going. And that's where we get something called heuristic thinking. It's basically your brain on autopilot, which, is fine for deciding what socks to wear. But when you're tired, you start using that same autopilot for really complex stuff, like financial decisions. Studies actually show that sleep-deprived people are way more likely to take out high-risk loans, not because they've thought it through, but because their brain is just taking the fastest, easiest path. And this isn't some rare thing. We're talking about roughly 30% of adults in the US who are chronically sleep-deprived. That means almost a third of the population is walking around trying to make important life choices with a brain that's just not firing on all cylinders. So what's actually happening inside our heads to cause this mess? Let's zoom in and take a look at the biology of a tired brain. When you don't get enough sleep, it's like a direct attack on the CEO of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. All of a sudden, your attention span just vanishes. Your reaction times get sluggish. You can't learn new things, you can't control your impulses, and even basic problems feel completely impossible to solve. And here's the kicker. This is going to blow your mind. One study found that after just a few nights of getting only 5 hours of sleep, people's cognitive impairment was on par with being legally drunk. Just think about that. We would never try to work or make big decisions while drunk, but millions of us do it every day on no sleep. All right, let's check back in on our friend. They're at work, and all those cognitive issues we just talked about are hitting them like a ton of bricks. That full inbox, which might be manageable on a good day, now feels like an absolute avalanche. Every new email, every little request just piles onto this feeling of being totally and completely overwhelmed. And as if being sleep-deprived wasn't bad enough, the day keeps throwing punches. There's another invisible force at work here, draining whatever mental energy our character has left. And that force is called decision fatigue. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Your willpower is a muscle. Every decision you make, from what to wear, to what to eat, to how to word that email, it's like doing a rep at the gym. And just like any muscle, if you keep using it over and over, it gets exhausted. It just gives out. And what's wild is that decision fatigue hits your whole body. Behaviorally, you start putting things off or acting on impulse. Cognitively, your reasoning just gets fuzzy. But the part that's truly bizarre is that it's also physiological. Your physical self-control gets weaker. Your mind is tired and your body literally follows its lead. And here we are, our character, at the supermarket at the end of a long, punishing day. They've made hundreds of little choices, their willpower muscle is shot, and what's waiting for them? A wall of candy and snacks right at the checkout, put there specifically to prey on this exact moment of weakness. It's the perfect trap for a tired brain. So, okay, buying a candy bar is one thing, but what happens when decision fatigue and sleep deprivation start affecting people who are making life or death choices? Well, the consequences are pretty terrifying. This quote comes from a really famous study that looked at one of the most serious decisions you can imagine, whether or not a judge should grant a prisoner parole. What they found was just staggering. Look at this chart. At the beginning of the day, a prisoner's chance of getting parole was around 65%. But as the hours wore on, that number plummeted to nearly zero. And then, right after the judges took a lunch break, it shot right back up to 65%. a person's freedom literally depended on the time of day their case was heard. And it is not just judges, it's everywhere. Journal editors are way more likely to reject a paper submitted late in the day. Doctors are more likely to hand out unnecessary antibiotics as their shift goes on. And that 1 hour of lost sleep from daylight saving, it's linked to a very real spike in car crashes and accidents at work. Okay, so this all feels a little overwhelming, right? It's like our brains are fighting this invisible battle every single day. But the good news is, the science also gives us some clues about how to fight back. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, some really fascinating research comes along and flips the whole idea on its head, asking, what if willpower isn't a gas tank that just runs empty? This research from the incredible Carol Dweck suggests something amazing. What if decision fatigue is basically a self-fulfilling prophecy? Her studies show that if you believe your willpower is limited, it is. But the people who believe willpower is not so limited, they actually perform better after a hard task. So our mindset, what we tell ourselves, might be one of the most powerful tools we have. So how do we put all this into action? Well, number one, and this is the big one, protect your sleep. It is the foundation for everything else. 2, automate the small stuff. Don't waste precious brain power on routine choices. 3, if you're a napper, try adding relaxation techniques. It can actually boost performance. And finally, know yourself. Learn to recognize the signs that you're hitting a wall and give yourself a break before you make a choice you'll regret. So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you have a bad day or make a choice you're not proud of, instead of beating yourself up, just ask, was that really a bad decision, or was it just a tired decision? The answer might change how you see things. Thanks so much for watching.